In today's podcast, I will be chatting with Belize's Prime Minister, Johnny Briceño. I recently had the chance to meet him at his Oval Office in Belmopan, the capital city, and our conversation was surprising, informative, and fun.
The diversity that you would see in Belize, it's incredible in such a small area.
Mr. Briceño is the fifth and current Prime Minister of Belize, having entered politics in the early 90s after graduating from the University of Texas at Austin. We dive deep into Belize's colonial history, how to manage this melting pot of languages and cultures, and his plan for every child to go to school and stay out of poverty. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get into it. Mr. Prime Minister, great to meet you. How you doing?
I think so, they're pretty good. We've been through some very difficult times with the pandemic.
Yeah,
It has hit everyone hard.
sure.
And small countries like Belize are the one that gets hit hardest.
Yeah,
And especially in our case that tourism represents about 40% of GDP. So imagine you leave the office and you take off the lights.
yeah.
That's what happened. One day everything's running well and the following day
But things
tourism is
things are
gone.
picking up.
Oh, tourism is getting up. Well, everything. What we've been doing, we're taking an approach that we cannot make the same mistake.
Right,
That we put so much emphasis on tourism.
right.
So we're working on agriculture, on the services, and we're making great strides in those other two areas. But tourism has bounced back much faster
Good.
than anybody
So
expected.
I have to ask the question: what does it feel like to be a prime minister of a country? There's only
People ask you that question, and the easiest answer I could give is that I don't think about it. It's just a lot of work. You don't feel any different. You go to sleep, you wake up in the morning, and then you put on your clothes, have breakfast, and go to work.
Do you feel a lot of pressure or responsibility?
Definitely, you feel the pressure, you feel the responsibility, you feel that that you have to make sure you think things through. You can get upset, but just the best thing is just let it go. Don't hold on to it, or else it's just going to consume you. It's
Right.
going to eat you. So I don't watch social media.
You don't use social media?
No, we use social media, but I don't read it because
It's
when you read some of the comments, it's like. Where do they
oh,
get
I could
these
tell you
things?
something about negative comments. Yeah, it goes in one ear and out the other. That's
But
what
I
I
don't
said.
even look at it.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard. It's hard to deal with because I could get 99% positive feedback, but the 1% of people that say things, it gets to your head and
yeah, and that's the case. And some people are just putting negative things that are just not true.
yeah,
And you say, where you get these things from?
yeah, for sure.
So it's best that you stay positive and you continue doing your work. We've been doing a lot of good work. I mean, with agriculture, we've increased our agricultural exports and making sure that we can work with our small farmers. You see, what a lot of people don't understand is that agriculture is your first defense against poverty.
Right,
Because people in rural areas, if they can't sell their products, then they come into the urban
Right.
area to try to find a job.
right.
And if there's no jobs, then that's when you create, inequality and poverty and social problems. So we've been working on agriculture, trying to make sure
That's good.
and do that.
I
And
mean,
to
you-
keep
you're-
kids in school.
You're blessed with tropical weather. I mean, we just went to the market and I had so much good fruit. I was like,
Oh, you're at the market.
I just know, yeah.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah. So it
It's
was.
good, and there's good food at the market.
There is good food in the
Yes.
market. I had good tacos yesterday. I didn't know you're so famous for tacos here.
In the north, where I come from in Orange Walk, we are famous for tacos. Everybody
It's
goes
close to
Orange Walk
Mexico.
eat tacos. We're close to Mexico, but people go to Mexico, but they eat tacos in Orange Walk before they go to,
So
to Mexico.
tell
Strange
me,
thing.
tell me about the Belizean culture. Who are the people of Belize? I've seen indigenous faces, I've seen black faces, I've seen white faces. Who are the Belizean people?
Well, the Belizean people, we become a melting pot, in effect. We do not have these separations of cultures or of races. Pretty much everybody has blended in.
Yeah.
For instance, myself, I have Maya indigenous, I have mestizo or Hispanic, I have definitely black, so all in one. So you don't feel that tension, that racial tension in Belize in most instances. But what has happened over the years is that over the past decade, since probably the mid-70s, because of the civil wars in
Right.
Central America, we've had tens of thousands of refugees that have come to Belize.
From?
From El Salvador, from Guatemala, from Honduras, some from Nicaragua, a little bit from Mexico. And they come to Belize and then they live here, they become, over time, they become they're citizens. As we speak in August, we're going to have an amnesty program, and we expect to get a minimum of 40,000 quote-unquote refugees that have been living in Belize for a long time. They've been here for many years, and we're finding a way how we can legalize their status.
Right.
Because in many instances, because the status is not legalized, there are unscrupulous people who would take advantage of them. So by bringing them into the formal system, we believe that then they can do better for themselves and also by extension for the country. That would represent about approximately 10% of our country.
Wow.
So imagine if the United States were to give an amnesty to
Yeah.
23 million people.
Yeah,
You know,
crazy.
That's
And
what it works out
the
to.
Belizean people, English is one of the national languages,
English is the official language,
not Spanish.
not Spanish.
Oh, but everyone
it's
speaks
changed,
Spanish.
But, well, that's the thing.
Podemos hablar en
But
español?
myself, yo hablo español también. We're once a British colony.
Right.
And since independence, we're part of the Commonwealth. So the Queen is still the titular head of state.
Queen Elizabeth?
Queen Elizabeth.
Really?
Yes.
I saw the coins and the bills they have
Yes.
her face.
But it's more ceremonial more than anything else.
Yeah.
And so the Governor General, it's a woman, it's the first indigenous woman to be a Governor General in the entire Commonwealth.
Really?
Yeah, she represents the Queen. So whenever we would pass a bill in the House and it goes to the Senate, for it to be assented into law, then it goes to the Governor General signs it and it becomes law.
Wow.
So it still have a little mixture, but I think more and more people are feeling that it's time to sever that symbolism.
Make
of
the
Queen being
separation.
the head, right.
Yeah.
So although we're fully independent.
What year did you
100%.
become independent?
1981. When I was born, my first language was Spanish.
Okay.
But from the age of 5, it's been only English. You go to primary school,
Yeah.
it's in English,
Yeah.
high school, junior college,
So
university.
it's very multilingual here.
But very multilingual.
And Creole.
So I think in English, but I could speak Spanish. And Creole. Creole is the street language in
Yeah,
effect. That's what we talk on the
It's kind of
street
like
friends.
Jamaican feels.
I think ours is a bit more refined than the Jamaican one. Don't tell them I said that. It's strange that in some families, especially like with some of these kids that have families from Salvador or Honduras,
Yeah.
they will speak Spanish at home, go to school and speak English in the classroom, and on the streets with their friends they speak Creole.
I think it's cool.
You can't make a distinction.
As someone who's been to every country in Latin America, it's not often that I speak English. In Guyana, in South
Yes.
America, is another English-speaking country, but in Central America and South America, it's really just these two. In the Caribbean, there's some English, but
Yes, they're mostly English in the Caribbean.
but it's cool
Yes.
to come here to Central America and speak English.
Well, yeah, it's cool, but at the same time, what we've been telling our people is that we need to understand that we are surrounded by about 160 plus million Spanish-speaking people.
Right.
So we need to learn English, Spanish, and we not only need to learn to speak, but we also need to write and,
Right.
and to read. When we had the president from Mexico,
You
better
were
known
with
as
him?
Yes, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. Well, I met with him here in Belize. He was here for a short visit. And what the Minister of Education was saying, it's a pity that we only teach kids to write a little bit of Spanish and
Right.
to read, but we don't teach them to speak the
Right.
language. So we need to work on that.
Yeah.
We are a bilingual in effect. The census being done as we speak. And I believe
Cool.
that when the census is over, I estimate that about 60% of the population is going to be of Hispanic descent.
Really, 60%.
I estimate.
Cool.
But we'll see when it comes out.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges you face as a prime minister?
And poverty.
Poverty.
Poverty is the biggest challenge. Before the pandemic, we were already at almost 50% of our people live in poverty.
Does that mean like on $5 per day? Or?
Yes, because of the pandemic, we estimate it went up to about 60%. So we need to address that. And how do we address that? You address it by working with the economy. We've had a lot of success. We've grew the economy when the IMF was predicting at initially 3% growth last year. We're now having about 12.5%.
Good for you. That's great.
Right, and so it's just by actually literally rolling up our sleeves and pushing and working and getting things done. So that is the biggest problem. That by itself, they would take care of many of the other issues, the social issues, the issues of, for instance, like crime.
Well, I was going to say gangs
education.
and drugs.
Gangs is a problem, but it is more
Controlled.
within a geographic area in Belize City,
Got it.
outside Belize City. And right now we are working very hard on trying to work with them. And those that don't want to change that lifestyle, then if they break the law, well, then they
Sure.
end up in jail.
Sure.
But we, as it is right now, we're doing a pilot project in that specific area of Belize City, what we call the free education program, to ensure that every child goes to school. And so we've started in September of this of last year, and we've been going literally house to house, and their kids are not going to school. We tell them come to school. The government is going to make sure that all your fees are paid, your books are paid, so that you stay in school. Somewhat like it's like a tree. Once a tree is big and erect, it's difficult to bend.
Sure.
A human being is like that, so it's best that we get them at a young age, ensure that they go to school, so that when they come out to school, they have a skill to be able to get a job.
Very nice. What do you think is the best kind of beach town in Belize? I've heard of Hopkins, I've heard of Palencia.
We have Hopkins, Placencia, and San Pedro.
Are they all-
Kikoker. All four of them are really awesome. But if you want total relaxation, I would say probably Kikoker and Hopkins.
We've driven around the country and mountains, jungles, and forests.
You covered a bit of everything.
We've done the ruins, we've done meeting you, we went to Belize City and Belmopan. Is there any other thing of Belize that I'm missing?
The drive on the Hummingbird Highway is beautiful.
Which highway?
The Hummingbird.
Hummingbird.
So we're going down south.
From here?
From here.
Do you have any travels coming up?
I supposed to be going to Grenada. I'm sorry, Guyana.
Guyana?
Yeah.
The other
So
English-speaking
Guyana,
Latin American
yes.
country?
And then to Rwanda for the Commonwealth.
That's the cleanest
of
country in
our-
Africa.
Yeah.
It's very clean.
That's
Have you
right.
heard that before?
No, first
Like
time.
perfectly clean. You can eat off the streets. Yeah, because they had a really bad civil war in the early 90s and
I know. I mean, genocide.
yeah, genocide. And now they have where every week, I think it's on Thursdays or Wednesdays, the whole community comes out and cleans the streets. And it is like, it's like Singapore or it feels like Tokyo there. It's so bizarre. I have another question for you. If you could say one message to every single person in the world, what would you tell them?
Come to Belize. I said, come to Belize. It's a beautiful place. The president from Mexico was here and he was flying through over the ocean, over a sea, and he said, you know, Belize has the most beautiful sea in the world. The diversity that you would see in Belize, it's incredible in such a small area. The size of Massachusetts, imagine Massachusetts, but with just 435,000 of us, that can tell you the story. But also the people, because we are multiracial and I'm like in a melting pot, you just throw everything in like a soup and mix it up. That's Belize, and so we're open, we're friendly, we're warm, we're trusting. And so it's easy when people come to Belize that they enjoy what nature, what our Creator has blessed us with, but they also enjoy very much that the people, they feel that our people, they're warm and they're friendly, they're helpful. So come to Belize.
Wise words from a wise man. Mr. Johnny
Thank you very
Briceño.
much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast episode. If you feel inspired by this conversation, please share it with somebody who would enjoy listening. And if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Also, don't forget to leave a review. Every week, I'm going to be looking through them and highlighting my favorite one. And with that all being said, I will see you guys next week.